resources, limited time, and limited budgets, a few brave souls forge forward and don't ask for permission to make their stories come to life. Welcome to the Adventures in Backyard Filmmaking podcast. Here is your host, Jamie Francis.
Hello, my name's Jamie Francis, and welcome to the Adventures in Backyard Filmmaking podcast. I'm going to hopefully give you some great little tips on how to run a successful crowdfunding campaign. The last time and first time I ever did a crowdfunding campaign, it was basically before crowdfunding campaigns even really existed. It was in 2006, and me and my brother Dan crowdfunded, or what we just determined as we sold credits for our horror movie in 2006 called Massacre Hill. And we did okay, actually, and it was quite surprising that people were into it. And this is, I don't know if Kickstarter or Indiegogo existed in 2006, but it definitely, if it existed, it was definitely not the norm, and people didn't do it a lot. And it actually worked. We ended up getting about $1,000 to make our movie, which mainly went to a little bit of food and buying a HDR FX1, one of the early HD camcorders. So anyway, that was a big learning experience, and we didn't even know it was crowdfunding. We just sold credits. We sold some associate producer credits and I believe co-producer credits, some special thanks for a little cheaper. But believe it or not, we actually sold them. First, we had a little bit of a following on MySpace of all places, believe it or not, and got a few people from there, but also sold some on eBay. I actually just remembered that, and that was actually one of our key spots of our crowdfunding, because there was no real marketplaces like Indiegogo and Kickstarter. So we used eBay and utilizing our MySpace, our small MySpace following. Yeah, that's really aging us here. We did have, the one key thing is we did have a trailer, sort of like a teaser trailer that we made, and using a lot of footage that we didn't even end up using in the movie. We kind of shot the trailer before we shot the movie, and it actually had a great reaction. Looking back now, it's a little bit dated, and it's something that I kind of cringe looking at now, but it actually got a fairly good reaction from the communities we were posting it to. That actually generated a lot of the contributors to our crowdfund of that. But anyway, we learned a ton from that. Obviously, we made a ton of mistakes. We basically, it was definitely for the money. We wanted money to buy mainly the camera, or help pay for it at least. And it was strictly it was definitely just to pay for. We wanted to make money off of it. There's nothing wrong with trying to make money off your film project, but you definitely have to do it in a different way. You have to treat the contributors to your crowdfunding a lot better than we did. And I'll go into what the errors we did were numerous. I couldn't even name them all. But let's go through I just kept writing about what to do and what not to do on a crowdfunding campaign. Now, I'm first just going to start out by saying I'm not going to determine for you which format or what platform you want to use. If you want to use Indiegogo, you want to use Kickstarter, you want to use some of the little world ones, that is kind of up to you. Kickstarter is known as sort of the big one. It's kind of like it's the best, basically the most mainstream crowdfunding site. Indiegogo is a very, very close second, I believe. I follow Indiegogo a little bit more. If I was going to start a crowdfunding campaign today, I would go with Indiegogo. But that's just my opinion. It's just one man's opinion. So don't just find what's best for you. Read their percentages. They're all around the same. What they take from your campaign at the end. Definitely keep that in mind, because it hovers around 5 to 10% of what you raise. So if you are setting your goal at a spot where if you take 10% off, you can't make the movie, then you definitely want to add 10% or more to your goal just for paying that fee that Indiegogo or Kickstarter or any kind of platform is going to take. That's just my little precursor to my steps on how to help you out with your crowdfunding campaign. Yeah, so let's just get started. Now, this one's my first little tip is kind of a no-brainer, but make a video. I mean, if you're making a film project, why aren't you making a video to show your possible contributors what you're making? You want to show what you've made in the past or what you're planning to look like. But the key is really just being yourself. And that goes into my kind of side subnote with this is put yourself in your video, your campaign video, put you in it. You can get away with using somebody else or just not having yourself in it, but your response from your possible contributors is going to be much greater if you are genuine and you're in your video telling the audience what you are doing, what you're trying to do, your goals in this film, your goals in life in general, just in what people respond to a person that they believe in. And do not be fake. That whole adage of fake it till you make it, it really doesn't make any sense. I've always disliked that saying. Don't fake it till you make it. Just be genuine, be real. I can't stress that enough. People are interested in you. And I would go out and dare to say, and this, some people might disagree, but people are interested in you first and then your project second, or at least at around this, like if they like your project, but then they kind of think you're not being truthful, or it's just not going to work. And I should have actually made this the first step. And this is another little note here I have is crowdfunding is not a handout. You're not asking people to just give you money. You're building a community. That is what you should be trying to do with your crowdfunding campaign. It's just one tool to building your fan base, your audience, your community around you and your project or future projects. You're not begging for money. If that's kind of what you've been doing or what you're trying to do, just don't press green light on your campaign yet. Just rethink. You're not asking for a handout. You're trying to cultivate people who want to get involved with your project and in movies. See, filmmaking is very creative and it's exciting. People like getting involved. A lot of filmmakers like getting involved with other films, or people who don't have any interest in filmmaking love the process. And if they're involved in something that they like, or they like you and your project, they want to get involved. And if that costs $5 to put them in as a special thanks, or give them access to behind the scenes while you make the movie, allow them to do that. But do not beg for money. That's not what this is for. I can't. There's going to be a lot of things here where I can't stress enough, but that's another one. You are not asking for a handout. If you're just kind of begging people to give you money for your project because it's to fulfill your dream, yeah, you could possibly get some people doing that, but it's just not gonna make people feel great about your project. You might be able to beg money out of your mom or your close friends, but they're gonna get annoyed. You don't want to be annoying. And this also kind of goes off a subnote on this is when you're tweeting or Facebooking your campaign, don't just tweet out your link. The odd time you can do that, but give them something to like just check out, or give people more insight on what you're doing. Have the link be a kind of a byproduct of somebody discovering your stuff, and then if they want to find out more, make it accessible for them to click on your link. Yeah, so just keep that in mind. Again, just don't treat it like just you're looking for handouts. Now let's talk about perks. Perks are not something you should just throw out there and not think about. Really think out your perks. This is your meat of your campaign sandwich. You can probably get, again, money or contributions from your friends, close friends and family, But how do you hook in the new people, people who discover you on these areas like Indiegogo and Kickstarter? How do you get them involved? Well, you want to oversell with your perks. You got to give them a great perk for as low as possible, almost making it a no-brainer for them to contribute. And this is where I see a lot of errors. I do not want to see $100 DVDs, $25 Twitter shoutouts, or a $50 download. Now, these are very inexpensive things. Other than the DVD, where you actually have to physically print something, a Twitter shoutout should not cost $25. At most, I would think $5. That's free. I mean, that's taking 5 seconds out of your life. It should not be. You want to oversell. You want to give them more than what they're paying for, not the other way around. And keep your just keep your pricing realistic. You don't want to charge $5 for a t-shirt, because a t-shirt's probably not going to cost $5 to make. Those can really add up, especially because you're shipping something, you're producing something. But things that are digital and that can just be sent with an email or a link, those should not be really, really highly priced things. Make it so those are your jump on point to your community build. You can always sort of upsell these people later if you give them great perks to add on to. A subnote here again is crowdfunding is creative. You're doing another project on the side of your film, and be creative, be unique. There's a lot of run-of-the-mill crowdfunding campaigns where you're just selling Blu-rays or shirts, shout-outs and stuff. But think of something unique that really can get people invested in your project. Some of my absolute favorite campaigns I've checked out this year. If you haven't seen the Iron Sky 2 campaign, go to that. Check it out on Indiegogo on Iron Sky 2. Now, they had a perk, and I forget how much it was. I should have looked it up. But it wasn't cheap. It was in the thousands of dollars, I believe. But in the movie, it's a very kind of B-movie style project. And well, in this one, they have dinosaurs. But anyway, one of the perks was that you could be killed by a dinosaur and eaten by a dinosaur for a couple $1,000. And people loved this. And that's such a unique perk. But if there's anything in your project, you don't necessarily have to throw, add a dinosaur to your subplot in your actual script so you can eat people. But think of things like that people can get really involved. And I mean, who doesn't want to be eaten by a dinosaur in a movie? That would be awesome. And that's there forever. You're immortalized in a movie. I mean, they crowdfunded a crazy amount of money. I forget what the Iron Sky 2 was. It was close to $1 million, I believe, which is incredible. But I mean, granted, they did have a bit of a following from the first movie, and it's a fairly decent sized movie. It's not like a backyard indie like we're making, but the ideas are still totally accessible for the backyard indies. Just think of something that you could utilize like that, and it would go a long way. And again, don't price it too high. You want to make it accessible for as many people as possible, or as many people in your audience. Create very, very unique perks. Get fun with that. Get creative. Get your team together and think of something that can really capture people's imagination. Setting a goal amount is pretty key. And this is a little tip I've heard from John Trigonis. He helps out a lot of crowdfunding for film on Indiegogo, and he's the man. But his good little tip here is you want to keep your goal as low as you can without sacrificing your project. There's actually there's a psychological kind of thought process around this. When you check out a campaign on Indiegogo or on whatever thing you're looking at, they actually have a bar, and it'll have a percentage of your goal, how much it's filled, depending on your goal or amount or whatever. Well, if you keep your goal low, then your percentage of your contributions, even a small contribution, is going to make a huge dent in your green bar. You want to keep your bar nice and full. People don't like coming to a campaign and see that it's barely made a dent because your goal is like $100,000. Well, if your goal is like $100,000, but you've actually had people contribute up to $2,000 to it, you're still going to have a very, very small percentage of your bar be green. So you want to keep that bar as green as possible and as quickly as possible. And so if you keep your goal low and have additional goal levels after you've hit your main goal, that is a lot better than just starting out with a giant goal. So set up your goal as low as possible, but then set up bonus goals. They have a name for it, and I'm totally blanking on what they call it. But say your initial goal is $1,000. Already have something set up what you're gonna do if you get $2,000 or $5,000 or $10,000. There's actually a campaign that I believe it's still going. It might be ending soon for Super Troopers 2. Super Troopers 2 is the first Super Troopers is a movie that was made years ago, 13 years ago, I believe. Hilarious movie done by Broken Lizard, and they're campaigning. They just through the roof. I think they're the number 2 campaign ever now, just below the Veronica Mars one. And they had some awesome unique perks, and I mean, they didn't keep their goal low. I think it was $2 million that they weren't going to make the movie if they didn't get it, but they had lots of goals after 2 million that really got people still involved after they hit their $2 million goal, which is great. It kind of snowballs from that. So yeah, just keep your goal low so your green bar percentage of your campaign while people go and look at it is always it looks good. Like keep your green bar looking good. I don't know how to explain that, but it's a little trick. When you're starting your campaign, even before you press go on your campaign, is try and get 20 to 30% of your goal already submitted to you, or at least that's people have said that they will do it a certain amount contributed in your first couple days. What that does is, again, it makes your bar look really good and it looks like that you've got some good momentum right off the bat. And these are usually like your close friends and your family. You just gauge a general thought on telling them when you're going to launch it and how much they be willing, or what perk they would want right off the bat. This is before you even have your campaign running yet. And just to gauge, you want about 20 or 30% to start. I mean, that's ideal because it just looks a lot better, and you have a way better chance of hitting on like the home pages of Indiegogo or Kickstarter and as like a hot property or hot campaign. Yeah, so it builds momentum. It's a lot better than just your bar at 0% for the first week. But again, like if you just have nobody that's going to do that at the start, you can still work it, but maybe go to your Twitter followers or your Facebook and gauge your audience at the start before you launch. This is a real key note here, and it's becoming more and more prevalent that this isn't happening, which is kind of blows my mind sometimes. Is update your contributors, update your progress. Okay, so if somebody has contributed to your campaign, even if it's $1, but if they've contributed in any way, they've given you access to them. They want you to tell them what's going on. Update these people. This is your audience now. This is somebody has contributed to your project, and they want to know what's going on. Where's the status of the shooting? Where's the script? It really does blow my mind sometimes when I've followed and even contributed to projects where there's crickets. I don't want to hear crickets. I want to be involved. I've contributed to something and I want to know what's going on. Keep this dialogue going. These are your first fans of your project. You have permission to update them. Like when you update your contributors, you're helping them get more involved. And once somebody contributes, especially on a lower end perk, and you keep constantly keeping them updated, don't just spam them the campaign. Get them more involved. And it's much better to sell higher perks. It's just like selling in any kind of business is to already, like, to customers that you already have. Like, these are your customers. I like to call them like more of a community, but these people have actually already paid you money. They want to see your movie. So you have a way better chance to sell to these people higher perks or whatever, or, get more involved than complete unknowns. So just keep these people involved. And, it might take a lot of time. Like a lot of people say when they do a campaign properly, like especially the successful ones, is that it's a full-time job. So, you don't have to go quit your job or anything, but, just plan to have two full-time jobs for a while. But just, yeah, keep these people involved. And it's as simple as just sometimes just a quick little Twitter message or just a message right on the marketplace you use. But it doesn't take a lot, but definitely do it. A lot of crowdfunding campaigns have a great start, and they'll get, like what I was saying, the 20-30% rate at the start, first couple days, but then have a big lull, kind of like that second act lull, and at the end have a little push at the end. Well, how do you get people involved in the second act? Well, one major key is holding back on some perk or content until a certain amount. Like say after the first week, you unload a new perk. Sometimes you actually just come up with better ideas or new ideas for perks while your campaign's already going. Well, stick those in. You're not obligated to just stay with the perks you start with. That's the great thing about these things. They're very organic and they kind of move around. Sometimes you'll come up with some great ideas. Some of your contributors might have some great ideas. This is, again, stemming from keeping these people involved. Maybe ask these people what they want to see as a perk, or maybe give them options on like what posters they like the best or what t-shirt design they like the best. And then it just grows from there. So your second act in your campaign you can have new perks, and maybe some just awesome ideas you have. So you don't necessarily have to have all your perks right at the start, but say one perk you have at the start is really blowing up, but the rest are kind of just fizzling. Well, maybe you can stem off the one that's doing really well and kind of grow that one, almost kind of like a tree branch off that one, and focus your time on ones that actually work. That's just one little tip on the second act lull that a lot of campaigns have. There's a little trick here too with your actual campaign website. Is you want to have a .com or some kind of website that actually has your project on it, especially if you have a successful campaign. It could be blogged about or in an article after the campaign's actually already completed, or somebody finds it a year later or 6 months later on a Google search and finds your campaign. You want to have that link to your site still, so you can still build that traffic and you can still actually sell them perks that you possibly could still have available. And again, that's even better because that takes away from the percentages you lose from Indiegogo or Kickstarter. That actually could be 100% profit on those. So you could even make them a little cheaper or whatever you want to do. But yeah, you want to because those campaigns stick around for a while. I don't know how long Indiegogo or these places keep the campaigns up, but I know that I don't even know if they delete them. So that's a piece of content that is up there and it's been shared a ton. It's got awesome search engine optimization on it because it has tons of backlinks, probably, especially on a really successful one. So it's essentially a piece of content out there that has your site on it, or your project at least. So you want to have your website link off that to at least your trailer or something where people can kind of keep that momentum going, right? Your campaign doesn't necessarily end when your campaign ends on these sites. It can kind of keep going. I know this Kung Fury crowdfund that everybody knows. You've been probably living under a rock if you haven't heard about it, but they have a link right off their campaign site that's still there, linking right to their main page, and you can actually still buy some of the perks, some credits and stuff. Or they actually have like a membership site where you can get access to the behind the scenes and stuff, which is just awesome. And that's what I'm talking about. You wanna keep that alive. That's just free traffic there, right? And really, just to end this off, is this actually should have been at the start, but hopefully you've listened to all this. Is obviously the best crowdfunding campaigns or the most successful have a bit of a following before. So how do you do that? You want to build your community early. You want to start early. Some people even say up to like 6 months earlier, like before you launch your campaign. You want to build your following on social media. You want to post things on YouTube like that are kind of related to your campaign, or definitely have some kind of trailer, or maybe even it, like say you don't have maybe a proof of concept of some sort. All this stuff really contributes and really helps out. Build that awareness before you even launch. Like if you launch with absolutely no following at all, it's going to be tough. But I mean, it can be done. It can be built up if you have something that's just hits a chord with people. But again, too, is just I talk about this on the site a bit, is just building your audience. Look for that, like what is your target demographic and your target audience for this project, and try to hit those people up. Start conversations with them, and just what do they like? What do they want in movies? Like if you go back to the Iron Sky campaign that I was talking about, they had a successful campaign from Iron Sky, the first one, but for the sequel, they obviously had this following, but originally they had nothing probably. And, they're probably looking at the people who just love like kind of outrageous ideas. And, I still can't get over that getting eaten by a dinosaur. Yeah. So it's just building that audience for your campaign. And I hope you're listening to this and you're going to, just before you're launching your campaign, or if you're thinking about campaigning at all. But don't think of it again, like just don't think of it as like a handout. That's one of my keys is I really don't like when people think of it as like it's just like a handout. This is a great tool for indie filmmakers, and especially the backyard filmmaker, where we got jobs and stuff, and we just want to make our stories come to life, and we could really use crowdfunding, but just don't abuse it. You're gonna be successful if you follow some of these tips. And I mean, I'm no expert. I haven't crowdfunded since 2006, but I've observed for a lot of years now the ups and downs of crowdfunding, the knocks it has against it. But I can definitely see the benefit of doing this, and yeah, I hope you get at least some kind of nugget out of this. For more of this podcast, you can check out www.backyardfilmmaking.com, or check out my film website at francisbrothersfilms.com. You can give us a review on iTunes. I'm officially launching very soon. Like I said that the last few episodes, but it will be seriously within the next couple days. So go to iTunes and give you a review, and I will be giving away something for people who leave reviews and comments, and I don't know what it is yet. I still haven't found out. I have a bunch of ideas, but maybe you have an idea of what kind of reward you want. But I will definitely be reading reviews off iTunes for this podcast on the next couple episodes once it's launched. So if you want, maybe that's enough for you guys. Leave a comment, but leave your website or like a video or a trailer you want me to check out, any kind of like project you're working on, and I will read your review out, but I'll also plug your project. So maybe that's all I need to do. So if that's an idea, leave your comment and with your website or any kind of link. I'll check it out. And yeah, so thanks a lot. My name is Jamie Francis, and thanks for listening to the Adventures in Backyard Filmmaking podcast. Have a great day.